All right, so today I want to talk to you guys about how to start a fire in your wood stove. I've been heating my house I heated it straight for 10 years with just nothing but firewood. A few years ago, we got a heat pump, so now I just do supplementary fires. So I have to start fires very often, and there's a couple of really important things you're going to need. Number one, you need proper fuel, which means you need to have dry firewood. There's a few different ways to tell if it's dry. Number one, if it feels really heavy, then it's probably not dry. In this case, this piece is probably pretty good. If you look real closely at the end grain, I got a dog, Tank is here helping me, good boy. If you look at the end grains, you can see some splitting starting to happen on the end. No, Tank likes the kindling. So if you see the splitting on the ends, it usually means that it is probably ready. You can also use a moisture meter. You can look at the, the color of the wood. Like you can see this piece of oak here. See it's nice and light there, but you can see I just split it, and you can see the moisture inside of it. So even though this is a small piece of wood, it's probably not going to burn very well. So first thing we got to start with is paper. Now the paper that you use, you want to be very careful that it's not the wax kind of paper. You really want like raw paper bags or raw newspapers. You don't really want anything with like wax or any kind of chemical inside of it. Thanks, Tank. Because it actually won't burn very well. So got some really good raw paper here. So we're gonna start with that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my kindling here, which actually you can actually have your kids help you pick that up outside. And then I also like to use a few pine cones, not a lot, because pine is not a great wood. If you use wet fuel or green fuel, like softwoods, and you use it too much, you're gonna build up creosote in your chimney. You have a chimney fire. I have had those are not fun. All right, so I'm gonna start with the smaller pieces of wood first. Put them right on top of the paper. Now, I don't ball the paper up too tight. If you ball it up too tight, it doesn't allow air pockets between the layers of paper, and it just is not gonna burn quite as well. You want it to get really, really hot. You need a lot of heat in order to create a proper draft. The inside of your chimney is actually cold. And that is something that will actually reduce your ability to create draft, because heat needs to rise. But if it's got cold air on top of it, it won't rise quite as well. So we want to have some nice dry pieces of oak. Got some red oak here at the top of the kindling. Let me just give you a better shot here of what I'm doing. You want to stack it so there's space between each board, just a little bit, so that the fire can rise. Oh yeah, that's nice and dry right there. That's probably going to catch quite nicely. These other pieces of oak, not so sure. But we will see. Oh yeah, this one's nice and light. You can tell by the way it feels. It's light and nice and dry. Okay. Let's see, how much wood do we want to put in there? That's what she said. All right. So what I like to do now, I use matches. I actually suggest a fire stick or something that's a little longer so you don't stick your hands in the wood stove quite as much. And I like to light at multiple spots. Now there's two key ingredients here, as I said before. You need fuel and you need air. So I'm not going to completely latch the stove, and everyone's wood stove is a little different, but mine has a primary vent and a secondary vent. The secondary vent is what you use when you're starting the fire, but in this case, I actually leave the door cracked just a little bit around it. And then that's about it. Now we wait. Give it another 5 or 10 minutes. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. As the fire begins to get hotter and hotter, I'm gonna eventually start closing the door because I want heat inside of the stove, because I want heat to start rising up the chimney, create the proper amount of draft. And there you have it. So we'll have a nice hot fire to be warmed by tonight.